what medieval war did to ordinary people. When we picture medieval war, we imagine knights charging, banners snapping in the wind, and steel crashing against steel. But most medieval people never carried a sword. They never wore armor. They never chose the battlefield, yet they paid the highest price. This is the story of what medieval war did to ordinary people, the farmers, villagers, women, children, and elderly who lived in the shadow of armies they did not command and could not escape. To understand medieval warfare, we must look away from the battlefield and into the homes it destroyed. Section 1. War came to you. Medieval wars were rarely distant. There were no clean front lines, no safe rear areas. Armies moved slowly and lived off the land. When soldiers marched, war marched with them. Fields were trampled, crops were taken or burned, livestock vanished overnight, wells were fouled. Villages became targets not because they resisted, but because they existed. For ordinary people, war was not an event. It was a season of fear that could return again and again. Even when armies passed without fighting, the damage was done. Section 2. Hunger as a weapon. Starvation was not an accident of medieval war. It was a strategy. Commanders understood that destroying food supplies weakened enemies faster than killing soldiers. Burning grain stores and orchards crippled entire regions for years. For villagers, this meant hunger long after the army had gone. A single burned harvest could mean malnutrition, disease, or death months later. Children suffered first. The elderly followed. War did not need to kill you directly. It only needed to take your food. Section 3. Displacement and flight. When war approached, families fled if they could. They carried what little they owned on their backs. Many had nowhere to go. Towns closed their gates to outsiders. Monasteries filled quickly. Roads became dangerous. Those who fled often lost their land forever. Fields left untended were claimed by others or seized by lords. Returning home was not guaranteed. Displacement shattered communities. Villages emptied. Family lines ended quietly, not with swords, but with abandonment. Section 4. Violence without glory. Most violence against civilians was not heroic or dramatic. It was theft, beatings, rape, threats, extortion. Soldiers were rarely paid reliably. Plunder became survival. Civilians became resources. Women faced particular danger. Chronicles speak cautiously, but the reality is clear. Sexual violence was common and rarely punished. Children were not spared. They were taken as servants, hostages, or simply left to starve. War stripped away protections that barely existed to begin with. Section 5. Disease followed armies. Where armies went, disease followed. Crowded camps bred illness. Soldiers carried infections into towns and villages. Refugees spread sickness further. Medical knowledge was limited. Clean water was scarce. Malnutrition weakened immune systems. Plague, dysentery, and fever killed more civilians than swords ever did. For ordinary people, survival often depended on luck rather than strength. Section 6. The weight of fear. Perhaps the greatest cost of medieval war was psychological. People lived knowing violence could return at any moment. They hid food. They slept lightly. They listened for distant hoofbeats. Church bells signaled danger as often as prayer. Children grew up with stories of burned homes and vanished neighbors. This fear shaped behavior, faith, and memory. War became part of daily life, even in times of peace. Section 7. Why this is forgotten. History remembers battles because they are easier to record. Kings had names. Knights had armor. Victories could be dated. The suffering of ordinary people left fewer documents. Their losses were counted in empty houses, silent fields, and unmarked graves. Yet they were the majority. Most medieval people never fought, but almost all were touched by war. Conclusion. Medieval warfare was not defined by chivalry or glory. It was defined by hunger, fear, displacement, and survival. If you watch TorchLit History because you want to understand the Middle Ages as they were actually lived, not just as they are remembered, then this is the history that matters. Like the video if you value history that centers real people. Subscribe for more medieval stories grounded in evidence and humanity. And share your thoughts in the comments, especially if there is a side of medieval life you want explored next. Because history is not only made by those who fight, it is endured by those who live through it.